My name is Ashley Bartle. I'm the Director of Development at the Boys and Girls Club of the Tri-County area. We are very excited to have you here tonight to learn more about the Ripon site and some services that we're going to be bringing to the area. We're going to have a panel here that's going to inform you about the site, some services, programs that we're going to be bringing, timeline, and then answer some questions as well afterwards. Before we get started, I just want to introduce the panel to you, and then I'll let them take it away. Lee Baird sits on our board of directors. He has been working on this project for the past 7 years. And he also sits on our Ripon Capital Campaign Committee. Next to him is Mary Like. She also has been working on this project for a long time, sits on our board of directors and is a past board president. Mindy Collado is our director of operations. She currently oversees our Berlin and Green Lake site, and then will be overseeing our Ripon site as well. Sam Bill is a parent who utilized our Ripon Pilot program this summer that we held on Ripon College campus. And then Craig Johnson sits on our board of directors. This will be the second capital campaign that he's helped us with. He helped build the Berlin site as well. And then our organization CEO, Jason Presto. So with that, I'll have Lee take it away.
Thanks, Ashley.
You're welcome.
As Ashley said, I'm Lee Baird. I was born and raised here in Ripon and was in business for almost 50 years. And so learned a little bit about the needs of families, parents, and especially kids over the 50 years of meeting and having hundreds and hundreds of customers. Brings us up to the idea that 7 years ago, 7 of us got together to think about the possibility of putting together a Boys and Girls Club here in Ripon. We met for a long, long time, as you can imagine, month to month, week to week, sometimes day to day, working very hard to try and put this thing together, and so here we are. Mary?
Sure. Good evening, I'm Mary Like. Some of you might remember me from my role with the school district as the school nurse for 15 years. Following my retirement 5 years ago, I became involved with the Boys and Girls Club of the Tri-County area. And I've served in the role of being on the board of directors for 5 years, and for the last number of years I've also been very involved in the project of bringing a Boys and Girls Club to Ripon. In my role as school nurse for that number of years, I became acutely aware of the changing needs of children and families in our community. And how many of those children are at risk. We live in a beautiful town, and I think every day our downtown is becoming more and more beautiful. But in my mind, poverty is blind. And I think most of us have no idea how many children are at risk because we don't see them. I work closely with some school staff in my role as school nurse, trying to help kids that were in the position of poverty. Their families might have been exposed to alcohol, opioid abuse, also mental illness, as well as neglect. And we just couldn't handle it, all of that, on our own as a school. And I believe that the increase in the needs in our community in this area are really taxing, are a burden to our community, and are taxing our industry, our schools, as well as government and social services. But in my role as on the board, I have seen firsthand what a club can do for our community, what it brings. By providing services to children from ages 5 to 18, the goal is to try to level the playing field for kids. So they're on the same playing field as every other kid that's in the schools and in our community. And by providing affordable, reliable, safe, and quality after-school programming, we can really help kids in addition to summer, all-day, 10-week programming that includes healthy meals and snacks. They provide dozens of field trips, including even the opportunity to visit our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., as well as helping students and kids get their unmet needs met. And that includes food, that includes coats, backpacks, shoes, clothing, showers, laundry services, even shampoo and toothpaste. According to a Michigan study, Boys and Girls Clubs provide $10 in benefits for every dollar invested in the club. And those show up as evidence in our reduced costs for health care, improved grades for kids, less alcohol and drug abuse, and a lighter burden on our county and state social services. I'm also here as a donor, and my husband Tim and I and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law Andy and Jean, we have made a commitment to bring this club to Ripon. We're all in. And we believe as a family that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our community, not just to serve the kids and families that are currently here, but we're going to be serving kids that we'll never meet in generations to come. So I'm really asking for all of you for that support as we move forward. Thank you.
And I'm Mindy Collado. As Ashley said, I serve as the Director of Operations for the club. So I am here just to share a little bit about what our club will have to offer and what we're currently offering as an organization. So when school is out, club is in. So we run every day after school, Monday through Friday. And on non-school days, we offer programming for families wishing to utilize the club for care. And then also in the summer, we run a 10-week full-day summer program. All of our open club hours have meal service, so we offer breakfast, dinner on school nights, and then we offer lunch and an afternoon snack in the summertime and on non-school days, so kids are fed while they're in our care. In addition to the out-of-school time programming, we also offer some specialized programming. So we have things like driver's ed, babysitter's course, first aid classes. We partner a lot with organizations local to the community, so field trips to the library and other businesses for career exploration. Our club programs all fall under 3 core pillars, and those are academic success, so things like tutoring, homework help, STEM activities. Healthy lifestyles, so making sure kids are active, whether utilizing the gym or outdoor spaces, and then learning to take care of their bodies and eating healthy. And good character and leadership. So we have several leadership programs such as Keystone and Torch Club. We also have an annual Youth of the Year competition where high school students can compete with other teens from across the state to earn scholarships. And then we do things like community service and service-based learning projects. In addition to youth programming, we also, our organization plays a very major role in supporting families, like Mary said, with unmet needs. And so we have our Thanksgiving meal program where families take home items to prepare an entire Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving Day. We also have our adoptive family program where we partner donors with families or youth in need during the holidays, so they receive holiday gifts. Our Codes for Kids program served over 270 youth last year with warm winter gear to go into the winter months. And then Operation Backpack, we served over 447 youth last year and plan to serve even more this year with things like a backpack, an outfit for the first day of school, hygiene supplies, socks and underwear, and even a pair of gym shoes along with their school supplies. Unique to our Ripon site, we are going to be having a entire wing dedicated to licensed childcare. So we will have 4 classrooms in the childcare wing that will serve 4 to 6 year olds, and that will have a separate entrance and again, be licensed. We're also going to have a tween space, so we have recognized the importance of giving those 6th and 7th graders their own space, so they oftentimes feel too cool to be in the youth center, but maybe don't have the skills and the maturity to be with the teens every day, so they're going to have their own separate space, which we're referring to currently as our tween center. And we're going to have a full-size gym, a performing arts area, and a skilled trades garage where youth will not only be able to explore a wide variety of skilled trade careers, but will also, in many cases, be able to earn certificates of completion, apprenticeship opportunities, and work with local employers. So that is super exciting. With us today is Sam. And Sam is a parent who has in the past utilized our Berlin site for care, and then last summer our Ripon site for care. So we ran a pilot program last summer with Ripon College, where we had 64 youth participate in an 8-week summer program last year. We're bringing that back this year. Although our building won't be built just yet, we are going to offer summer care again this summer on the Ripon College campus. So Sam's going to share a little bit about her experience.
I'm Sam Bill. I'm actually from Ripon as well. My husband and I moved back here and had our kids. I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. My 7-year-old is special needs, so a lot of times we go as a group and we have to leave as a group, and you can't really kind of deviate from that. So I had talked to Mindy a couple years ago and asked if my oldest child could go to Berlin, because my husband works in Berlin, just to give her that little bit of out of the box, and not always with me. I stay home with my kids, so she's very much comfortable with our little homestead. But it gave her time to actually meet friends, kind of be out of her little comfort zone, but in a safe location. I knew that she was safe, I knew that she was making friends, and I knew that she was getting new opportunities. And then last year, we had the opportunity to go to Ripon. Charlotte is my daughter. She had the best time. Apparently it's way more interesting than I can ever provide for at home, which she told me daily. Also the snacks are better, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But they did swimming, they did lemonade stands, she got to do water days. They did like projects that she got to come home and talk about, and then she would help her little sister with them. But it gave us as a family an opportunity for Charlotte to get out in the community, where it wasn't me, not to lack of better words, but tagging along with all of our little kids. So it really gave her that chance. And then in the future, my other children will go as well, because I kind of get some out of the house and away from me for a little bit. But yeah, the club was just a huge factor in our summer, actually moving smoothly and me being able to get anything done around the house. So benefited me very, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Craig Johnson. I've been a board member at the Tri-County area for Boys and Girls Club for 20 years. So I'm the seasoned veteran on the panel, I guess. I got to work closely with Lee and Mary in this project, starting it as a campaign, starting in grassroots, and then now I'm part of the building committee that helped design this and bring this to life. As a board member, I guess for 20 years, I can tell you how we started in Berlin. We started as a facility that helped or was open from 3 to 6. So right when school ended till 6 o'clock p.m. And the club has evolved and developed into offering an unbelievable amount of programming. And what the club has always done that I would say is pretty cool or unique to see is that the club has always filled the gaps in the towns, filled the gaps in the communities. You know, some of the programs that Mindy talked about, you know, Coats for Kids, Adopt a Families, Backpack, those were not all programs that the club has offered. It was always offered by someone else, and over time, somebody needed to step up, and the club always stepped up. And you know, now we even do driver's ed out of the Berlin location, that once it came out of the schools and we needed it to be offered somewhere, and the club stepped up and has always stepped up to be a volunteer to, it wasn't about just taking care of kids. It really has developed into taking care of families. It really, really lives by the statement of improving lives of kids and families in the communities. So that's what we see happening here in Ripon, is filling the gaps. And Mary and Lee are from this community and know what gaps need to be filled. This club is going to start a little bit differently than the one in Berlin. Actually, it's going to be bigger than the one in Berlin. And some of that is a big part of that is that the teen center and the trades garage. As a person that's in the trades and working closely with the trades, that is certainly a need in not just this community, all communities, probably nationwide, but the club is looking to make an impact where it can and locally. And exposing kids to the trades and giving them that opportunity to touch it and feel it and try it, whether it's electrical, plumbing, carpentry, changing oil, all of that stuff. It's just exposing kids to opportunities is what it is. And that part is exciting to me personally, being in the trades. And I look forward to that program really developing itself and developing local partnerships with tradespeople to teach the skills to the youth, because it's certainly a need that we have in our surrounding communities. We get to talk about the building a little bit, huh? Yeah. So as you can see the pictures, I haven't seen any renderings until tonight, so it's pretty amazing, pretty awesome. Hope you had a chance to go around and look at it. The pictures really bring it to life. It's about a 30,000 square foot building, in which we'll be serving teens, as well as youth, as well as daycare ages. Big part of it is that the trades garage, the youth will be on the lower level. The upper level is for the teens. They get the cool area and get to hang out with a little deck out the top. They get to hang out on the roof. So some pretty cool features. You have to make it fun for kids so that they do come, but yet have a purpose with it, and that's where Mindy and her team come in and putting the programs and making those impactful to the kids or to the youth in the community. We're currently it's a $10 million campaign. We are currently sitting at $7.5 million, so we still have some work to do on the campaign side. Goal is to break ground May 1st. That is a pie in the sky goal, and probably be completed sometime next March. So about a 10-month build out process, and that's kind of our vision right now.
Well, I'm Jason, I'm the CEO. I have the pleasure of working with all these fine folks who make my job really, really easy. And some people who aren't here tonight as well, Drew Diedrich's another one, but Lee, Mary, Drew, Craig, have put in countless hours as volunteers to bring this vision to life. And I've been doing this work for 15 years now. Can you believe that? And I just want to say that for me, when I walked through the doors at the Oshkosh Boys and Girls Club, and Mark DeSone here hired me, for me it was a job. I got a job and I got a paycheck and I got some insurance, and that was great. And then I fell in love with this organization very quickly because, one, I was able to help people and have a career while doing that, but the work resonated with me in a way that was unique. And I just want to speak to that for a moment. As a kid who grew up on the east side of Lake Winnebago, there's not a lot over there. I can tell you from my vantage point, I can use the Boys and Girls Club for a lot of reasons. And it's not necessarily poverty related or struggling in school or substance abuse related. But it could be all of those things. And I think what the cool thing about a Boys and Girls Club is its ability to be what the community needs it to be. This guy spoke to it a little bit about all the different things that we offer. And you can go to Oshkosh or Fond du Lac. There's wonderful Boys and Girls Clubs all across the state and around this country, and none of them are the same, right? Because the communities are different. And so, you know, a while back we had an opportunity to say, well, these guys approached us and wanted to put a Boys and Girls Club in Ripon, and the question was, well, can we help more kids? And the answer was yes, and unanimously our board said yes, let's do that. We want to help more kids. We want to help more kids. Craig and everybody, they saw what the club did for the kids, the families, but the community as a whole, right? Because you're addressing one kid at a time, one family at a time, larger scale issues like poverty and hunger and hygiene and academics and job shortages, and it goes on and on. So we're incredibly excited. There's a lot of people that have worked very, very hard to be able to bring this here to Ripon. And when we talk about community needs, and Mary, you may have said this, but you know, the very first thing we did is we kind of stepped back and looked at trends in Ripon over, you know, a couple of decades, right? In poverty, we saw the poverty trend line, and we saw free and reduced lunch numbers going up at a rate that was a little bit alarming and just different for a community that you may have thought you knew 25 years ago. We're seeing cost of living go up and median household income go down. And all of these things are a recipe for needing help, and needing help's okay. But as a community, we hope everybody will accept that help, and we're excited to be able to offer some of those things. And so when you look around here at some of the things we do, or some of the things Mindy and the team mentioned of the services we offer, we always do it not just because. We do everything because there's a need. Driver's ed's an example. There's not driver's ed, so we want to fill that hole. We have a problem of saying yes. We say yes a lot, but we hope to say yes for Ripon a lot too. And we're very excited to be here. And so I think with that, we can open this up to questions. Ashley, is that what we want to do?
Yep. We're sure that you guys have a lot of questions, and we're happy to answer them. So if anybody has a question, feel free to speak up, and then someone on our panel will answer.
Sir.
I have a question just from looking at the pictures. Do you anticipate that that's adequate parking for all the people who may be using it, coming in and going out?
Yeah, great question. So it's probably a little bit lighter on the parking than we would have initially anticipated or hoped. However, when having to pick the lesser of two evils, we wanted to make sure that the facility space was everything we needed first and foremost. And so we're aware of street parking. We're aware that there's an adjacent parking lot behind that. And we had initially spoken to them about possibly using that space. And we know that there's even more parking on the other side of that lot at the BMO Bank that is being unused as well. So there's some continued conversations on some of those efforts to fulfill some of the overflow needs of the parking, yes.
Can you talk about employability skills to teach, getting kids to work, teaching them to be good employees? What kind of programming do you have for that?
Mindy, you want to take this one?
Sure. So we run a career launch program currently, and will in Ripon as well, where we are teaching kids soft skills. We are doing things like filling out job applications. We are talking and doing mock interviews. We have lots of career exploration field trips where we then come back and discuss, things things that they learned about different careers that they think they could be great at, or things that they might struggle with. So really just helping youth identify, our main goal is to really get them out there to experience different things. Everybody may not like everything that they experience, but just having them get that experience will help them kind of determine where they want to go in their life. We recognize that for some it'll be a 4-year college degree, it may be a 2-year degree, or it may be right into work. So any of the skills that we work on with them will carry them through whichever they decide.
In addition, we have a Teens to Work program. So kind of a light bulb came on for us a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and I think it was the conference, the Green Lake Conference Center said they had 70 unfilled positions, and we said, boy, we got a lot of teens who need job skills. And just like, ding, ding. So how do we put this together? So we kind of got around a table and figured out a plan, and we realized quickly the barrier was transportation, and some other things, but transportation largely. So we matched them up with jobs, and we took them to work and brought them home from work, right? And so that simple effort resulted in, well, obviously a local employer being fully staffed, but also us getting a handful, a dozen kids some job experience. And since we did that first summer, we've now had over 100 kids enrolled in that program, 70 kids placed, and 25 to 30 different business community partners who take our youth employees. And we it's not just transportation, we're setting them up with bank accounts, and we're helping them budget their direct deposit, their work permits, lunches for work, you name it. We want to make sure that they have a successful experience, because so many kids, like especially if you have one vehicle at home, for example, right? And that you make it to work the first few days, right, until mom needs the car that one day, and then you're stuck at home, and then all of a sudden you lose your job. So we like to think that we kind of can help facilitate that, make that a better experience and a more positive experience for those kids. Yes.
How will the club impact the school's like summer school program? I'm not saying it's going to be negative, but I'm just curious because if it's going to be open.
So good question. So last summer we had kids bus right after summer school. So we are hopeful that will continue to be an option for kids wishing to utilize summer school. That we want to definitely encourage that. We want to make it as easy as possible for families to utilize the club and summer school. So we will hope to bus between.
Charlotte got out of Murray and bust.
My And like with Brave, is that something that's going to continue on, like the after-school program? Do you guys have had communication with the schools about their plans once the club is up and running?
I can't speak on what the school district's going to go do with the Brave program, but we definitely have been collaborating with the Ripon school districts for as long as I've been with the club, which is almost 6 years, and we're hoping to grow that collaboration, and we'd love to do things that we do in other communities, like collaborate on family events and those types of things. So I can't speak specifically to Brave, but.
And have you heard of CISA 6 and their youth apprenticeship?
We have.
I just met Stacy from there, and I was like, what? 40 youth apprenticeship? Yeah, so it sounds a lot what you guys are doing with the skills center, so that's exciting.
Yes, definitely.
On the timing, you mentioned that in Berlin, it started off like 3 to 6 after school till about 6 o'clock, I think that's what you said. Do you have a time slot for this one? Will it start off limited and then expand or contract hours, or is it set hours for when it will be open?
We'll explore that a little bit more with what the community needs. Our after-school hours tend to be 3 to 6 p.m., but some nights we're there until 9 or 10. So we have like teen offerings, or we might have a special family event. Same with weekends. There may be weekends that we have a special event going on. We host post-prom in other communities or those types of things. So we really want the building to be accessible, when the community needs or for what the community needs it to be. And then typically on non-school days or summer days, we operate from 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And snow days.
Oh, yep, and snow days.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about the capital campaign. Can you talk a little bit about the annual operating budget projections and then the source of revenue?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So we're anticipating the facility to cost somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000 a year to operate. You're lucky. I ran these numbers this morning. So the Boys and Girls Club really hangs its hat on private fundraising. So through a variety of ways, an annual campaign, special events, and about half of the budget will probably come from private giving, which means individuals and local businesses, right? And then about 16% is an endowment. So part of the $10 million campaign, $2 million of that is an endowment. So that'll generate some annual operating revenue for the Ripon Boys and Girls Club specifically. And then we get a little bit in terms of public funding through some programming initiatives, the USDA food service reimbursement programs, et cetera, maybe some Wisconsin Shares reimbursements through licensing, and those sorts of things. I think I said that's about 15%. Grants is 10%, and then program fees is in that 5 to 8% range. So as you can see, we're not really a fee-based organization. We're not passing these expenses on to kids and families. It's incredibly affordable. We don't turn any child away, and it's largely subsidized privately by your very, very generous local individuals and businesses.
How many employees will it take to run this facility?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're anticipating 3 full-time, probably 3 new full-time employees to the organization. There's still some unknowns about how that exactly will work out. 10 to 15, sort of year-round program employees, and maybe 25 in the summer. So being near the college certainly helps us in that regard. It's something we do well at our other locations in Berlin and Green Lake, but being near the college is definitely beneficial.
Do you also rely on volunteer help?
We don't. So that's a good question, because we often get, that's a misunderstanding. A lot of people think that everybody who runs through the Boys and Girls Club or does the program is volunteers. We certainly will lean on local businesses, like the banks, for example, will come in and do financial literacy, right? And that's an example of a volunteer. But no, there's paid staff, trained paid staff, overseeing kids with very high levels for safety. We pay very close attention to things like safety and ratios and those sorts of things. So. Yes, sir.
So am I gathering that the reason for this is that, speaking in general, life is tougher, and specifically marriage and family life has deteriorated significantly since I was growing up in the 1950s and 1960s?
Well, I view it as it's an opportunity. The community is decide. Cool thing, from a Boys and Girls Club standpoint, I'll speak from a Boys and Girls Club employee standpoint. Any of the volunteers may could jump in and speak. But we don't try to put new Boys and Girls Clubs in communities necessarily. We're not trying to grow, and they really have to be owned by the community, and there has to be a desire. And I think the cool thing is enough generous people, regardless of the reason, enough generous people stepped forward and said, there's enough information here for me to want to do something about it. And I don't know that they care so much about why as about putting their effort and energy towards finding a solution and bettering the lives and possible outcomes for kids and making it better for Ripon residents to live here.
How many years has the Boys and Girls Club been around?
The Tri-County Boys and Girls
No, I
Club?
mean, it's just in general.
Yeah, it's a long time.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, 1800s.
Oh, okay.
Really, there's a neat story, and you're putting me on the spot here, but it's something like a couple of ladies let in some Civil War some kids, and to give them some food and shelter, and it was really a concept that was born out of that. And the national organization's been around for 150 years, and they're headquartered down in Atlanta, but We're independently operated. We are run by our own board of directors. We're funded all here locally and privately. Nobody's telling us what to do. All donations for the Boys and Girls Club stay here locally. And so we get a lot of great benefits from being affiliated with the Boys and Girls Club. There's everything from safety to marketing to fundraising tools to just cookie cutter, just program curricula that they hand you, and it's all ready to go for our staff and to deliver high quality program at a moment's notice. So there's just endless benefits to having the affiliation.
Can somebody talk more about the daycare and what that entails, and is there already, an existing entity moving in, or is this an entirely new? I know that childcare can be hard to find in Ripon, so.
So that was another need that we have identified. We had several families contact us all year long, asking if we have the ability to serve youth under age 6, and unfortunately we don't. And so with that, we looked into what the daycare options are here locally, and we discovered there is a need, but we wanted to make sure that daycares or childcare centers are able to do what they do best. So we decided not to focus on that birth to 3 age, and instead really focus on the 4 to 6 year olds, and that will allow families who maybe have kids in 4K or 5-year-olds in kindergarten to still join us at the club with their older siblings, or not, or single children, but then they can go into the licensed childcare wing of our building. So it was an identified need that we found here in our community.
Thank you.
I just want to say I'm so excited you guys are coming. And I mean, I know I have so many questions, and you're going to face so many of them, but when I think about like the community I grew up in, how much I wish there had been a Boys and Girls Club, like you mentioned, Jason. And when I think about how to sell Ripon, whether it's to a manufacturing company or family or whoever, like being able to add this onto our resume of what we get to offer is like, it's a game changer, and it's just like going to be amazing. So thank you for all the effort you put in. And it's a lot. I can't even imagine how much more there is yet to be done. But from what I know in our community, there's a lot of excitement. So I wanted to make sure to be here tonight, just add some excitement to this fun informational meeting.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Question.
What is the capacity of how many max children can you hold? 100, 200? Are you saying anything?
How many the building can hold?
I don't know that we know the answer, but I'm going to ballpark that. The child care center can hold
68.
72. 68, something like that. 17 rooms, something like that, in the 4 rooms. And then I would anticipate up to 100 in the other. It could probably hold 250.
How did you select this site? Because it's so cramped on this property and where it is. I wondered why you wouldn't go where it is a larger area. Plus, I'm only speaking, I belong to St. Catherine's Church, and I'm on many committees, and I know that parking lot will not be available to you. So I'm wondering how you can accommodate people on weekends when you have maybe something going on, some kind of retreat, and that where your parking is going to come from, because that lot isn't going to be available because their diocese does not allow that. So I'm just wondering how this site got picked, because it seems like it's kind of small on there. I'd like to see a little bit bigger room for it because it looks so neat.
Yeah, so the site is actually, or the location is actually excellent for us. It was equidistant to each elementary school, which we thought was ideal for families. It is walking distance to Selfridge Park, which was a nice asset. And then the proximity to the downtown, we thought adds to the downtown traffic, but also adds to the vibrancy of the downtown area. And it certainly helps us with some visibility. Like, we looked at some other sites on more of the edges of town and whatever. it's not a, it didn't have the accessibility and the residential walking access and residential feel that we really wanted in a space. And we also think, and obviously the proximity to the college is critical, not only to the ability to staff it, but staff it with high quality, motivated, inspired young people who are really going to add to the quality of the program.
Anybody else have any additional questions? Well, I know that the panel will stay around for a little bit to answer if there's something that maybe you didn't want to ask in front of everybody. Be happy to answer something. Otherwise, we really, really appreciate you guys coming out tonight. We're very excited about this. We hope you are too. And we can't wait to come to Ripon and enjoy your community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You know what I'm thinking? Look at these pictures. There's one that looks like General Blue.
Are you signing out?
Phase 2, that's phase 2. Very observant.